everyone. Welcome to Chop Talk. I'm Spencer,
I'm Kyle.
and today we have with us an extraordinary guest, Paul the Barbarian.
What's going on, y'all? I'm Paul the Barbarian. How's it going?
Thank you so much for joining us. This man has an appetite for violence like nobody else and is almost never satiated. Has fought overseas, has been a medalist in multiple events, cross games, and has also been a star on the History Channel's Night Fight. Hey, don't call me a liar, otherwise we're gonna fight, but we're gonna fight anyway.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
That's all right. As you said, we try to always keep it pros and pros here. We try to leave out the cons, but we all know that stuff goes on. We've done some film things, and sometimes we're like, "This is gonna be," and then you're like, "What?" So
I mean, it was a TV show. It was crazy. It was enjoyable, but like I kind of look like a goofball on it, which I'm kind of okay with being a goofball. But it's TV still. I'm like, oh, so many people saw me be a goofball.
Dude, buff clowns are in.
I know, right?
So in that show, did they like take a lot of interviews and just pick the times you were a goofball, or were you a goofball like 85% of the time and they just worked with what they had?
Okay, when I say goofball, they made me a heel. I was basically on an adrenaline rush or adrenaline crash the whole time. They were talking to me either before a fight or right after a fight. So I was out of my mind the whole time. It was they just pick and chose things. There was like probably an hour and a half worth of interviews. They've got 5 minutes of it on the TV screen.
We had that with one of our good friends, Fox and Killian, where we took so much great footage, but it was in our earlier stages, and we're gonna have to go back and do a redemption video. But we're like getting this awesome video, like this awesome stuff, and then we had to use like maybe 5 minutes of that footage because there's weed whacker in the background, and we thought we got most of it out. So it's just like,
it's rough. It's rough.
I don't know if you've ever been around peacocks, but I tried filming at a location that had peacocks, and if you've ever heard their noise, it sounds like "meow," and it's so ear-pitchingly loud through a microphone. It's ridiculous. It'll pick out any time you hear it. It's silly.
I mean, they're like the best guard dogs, honestly, too, and they're pretty.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. No, they're annoying. They'll come over and just peck at you and chase after you and stuff. They're like big turkeys. It's really
Big, pretty turkeys.
pretty turkeys.
So-
You know what? I'm a pretty turkey.
Paul, for our audience, we're going to ask you questions about your story as a fighter and things like that. I've got to ask, what is the thing that made you want to learn how to sword fight?
Want to learn how to sword fight? To the
Yeah,
actual
like-
learning that the learning
Okay,
process
it doesn't
and
necessarily
getting
have to be learning.
No. There's two very different things. I
Question,
wanted to
can't take
fight
it back.
Shh. I wanted to fight people, and I was like, I'm gonna go fight foam. That's where I first learned about it in college. I was in a really bad breakup, and my buddies were like, "Hey, let's go fight people and go camping and party." I'm like, "Cool." Dagger here
That's
was
awesome.
great.
Mhm.
When I wanted to learn how to start fighting, like really learn how to fight people, probably had more to do with my transition into rattan a couple years later. When I became a two-chuck, I wanted to be the best murderer. I wanted to be the guy that could go through the field, kill people, and just stomp on bodies. And that's where I really wanted to learn how to sword fight, which is an analog stick fighting, sword fighting. And then for steel fighting, when I went into steel fighting, um, I wanted to learn even more because I'm like, I want to go compete for the country. I want to go overseas and beat up Europeans with metal fists. That's what they told me I could do, and I'm gonna go do it.
Promise. What year was that
Wait, which one?
for the steel fighting?
Steel fighting was I went to Poland in 2015, and then we went to Denmark. Then I went to Prague, and that same trip, I went to Poland for IMCF World Championships in Malberg, and then we went to Prague for Battle of Nations 2015 in the same trip. It was a 2.5 week trip, and there was one tournament and then the next tournament.
Now, when you were
Awesome.
competing, were you competing in duels, bow hurt, or like both melees?
All melees.
All melees.
I like duelist, like doing singles in steel fighting is just so much more of a. I don't think about that stuff when I'm in a one-on-one fight. Most of my one-on-one fights are about stick tag and stuff like that. When I go into a one-on-one fight for steel, I get too meta about it and I forget that I have to like actually pace myself. So I'm
Yeah.
like always trying to get more hits and I can't shut my arm down. My arm's like I want to kill things and I'm like we don't need as
Fast
many
power
points.
stick.
You're winning
Yeah.
by 8. You calm down. It's okay.
There's nothing
Um,
wrong with that. That's cool that you
but when you
know
gas
do it.
yourself in a round and a half and you've got another round to go, that's the worst time. That's actually been a big thing I've been working with my Pell work lately. Is I've actually been working on my breathing and doing timers and understanding my push pull, and where I want to take the fight.
Yeah. Now, what weapons are you doing that with, or what's your favorite weapon and why? And what are
Eh,
you working on?
if I'm doing melees, I'm murdering people with an axe. If I'm doing singles, I like using an arming sword, because I like being surgical with my sword fighting. A
Hmm.
lot of my fighting in steel fighting for singles has always been sword and buckler, first to five, hips up. I want to be able to slip in past the guard and get the cleanest blow possible, like on your collarbone, on your temple. I don't like the eye slots in steel fighting because our swords
No.
will go through the eye slots, but for stick
Hmm.
fighting, eye slots are my game.
Yeah.
Um, because I like making chivalry take eye slot shots. And they're like, "Ah, that didn't have enough force." I'm like, "That was literally your eye slot. My
Exactly.
tape is stuck in your eye slot, sir." And they're like, "Ah." I'm like, I could just turn it into a stab. I'm gonna start turning it into a stab.
Yeah.
Um, but that's probably that Pell work is primarily with single sword, single saber, or sword and buckler kind of situations.
Awesome, awesome. And hi, Juniper. Thanks for tuning in. And all everybody tuning in today. Once again, this is Paul the Barbarian. Guys, awesome.
Hi, I'm
Actually,
Paul.
Paul, Kyle's gonna start getting into steel buckler as well.
Oh yeah.
So
True.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
Spencer's
I will.
been chatting me up for a long time, and I finally ordered like the titanium
Oh
duelist
yeah.
kit that I want because I'm picky about it. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna have like a really cool set of armor when I do it.
Of course, like you want to do it the best. If you're only gonna do singles, you're not gonna do melee boo hurt. And you want to do the thing. You build your kit for doing that thing.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and single like sword and board or sword and buckler, like that's a really light kit because arming swords really don't hurt any more than any kind of stick unless you get hit on the very inside of your bicep, and that'll actually like that's enough small surface tension versus a strained muscle that it'll actually detach your bicep real easy. I've seen it
Oh,
happen.
gross.
Yeah, right. Sucks.
Now, was that
Good.
through? Was that just bare skin, or was that with the gambas and double
Um,
padded?
that's with a gambeson and jack chains. Um,
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
my
Okay.
only thought process for fixing that problem, if you're going to wear jack chains, is having a very specific arming point for one plate that stays right there. It's like
That's
right
great
there on the
advice,
inside of your
man.
bicep. That's like a big thing because people don't don't realize that that stupid little off hit can like do a lot of damage to you, and a lot of people are going to
Yeah.
wear rear braces fighting with a saber with a
Mm-mm.
arming
Single sword.
sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, with an arming sword. Um, I don't know. I don't like calling it single sword because then
Hmm.
people go, "My long sword's a single sword." I'm like,
Oh, well, they can be
"No, you're
quiet. And as longsword champion of the United States, I'll be like,
yeah, right."
that's silly. That's silly. Like, because I do like army sword and like single sword, but then when I'm like using some of the, because I like to use the curvy swords and curvy boys,
Yeah,
and
them
when they
curvy
start letting me use
boys.
those, I'm like, yeah. So like, that's not a single sword. That's not an army sword. I'm like, technically, it's not an army sword, but it is a sword I can use in one hand and be legal, not be a longsword.
Yeah,
Jerks.
So
assholes.
you can't use a curved sword at all. Like you can't use a saber or katana or
But
anything
you
like
can.
No,
that.
you can. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Why does it suck? like,
So for counted blows and doing your stand, because Kyle, you come from a rattan fighting
yeah,
background,
I'm
right?
an SCA knight and I do
Okay.
HEMA. So it's like
That
the other sword sports that we haven't talked about.
I'm sorry about your existence. Um, so doing the sword work that you are going to be doing, that you are naturally going to fall into, using a forward swept blade in a counted points match requires a different style than what you're used to doing. That forward point of percussion, that forward sweep to the blade actually does mess around with it, and anybody can argue with me about it, but I've done it a lot. I've tried using the curved sabers because I use a cumin kit. They don't really
Mhm.
have a lot of straight swords. They're all kind of curvy and
Yeah,
wacky.
yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do it right, and I tried doing it over and over again, and then it requires that big, long, sweeping cavalry saber kind of fight
Yep,
instead
yep.
of I'm going point, point, void. Like if you're gonna go from shot to void to shot to void to guard to shot, if you're gonna do that, it requires more of a dancing step and a sweeping step with that forward pointed blade where you don't tear up your wrist. and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't
No,
actually screw up your combinations.
Kind of Hamel-like, which we'll do videos on. But anyway, go ahead, Kyle.
yeah, no, Paul, that actually makes me think about this. So is part of why that's bad is because those motions with the curved sword, you have to recover, do the long recovery, and you're doing it in a points-based game with limited time, trying to score as many hits as possible. Is
That's
that the
that's
like root of why it's bad,
that is the
or
crux.
less meta, I should say?
That is the crux of it. An arming sword is faster in the hands for guarding and from going from shot to guard to shot to guard.
Okay.
A saber, to clear a saber out with that curve thing, a saber realistically what it was built to do was stab people. It was meant to like slash and stab folk, and that's usually bigger motions where they come back around and they bring it back into you, and then they parry into the thrust. Um, and they do all of that, but it's a lot of clearing, sweeping, and stepping. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Pirate cutlasses, that kind of stuff. Lots of slashing, lots of close quarter stuff. They would drag it back and they would get you in the guts, and then they'd come back up and they'd slash this guy and come back around. It's a lot of continuous motion where the staccato of a points fight is a major difference. People can fight with a forward swept saber. I've seen it done. I've done it. I just like an
Mm-hmm.
arming sword better. It's more
Yeah.
meta. It's faster. It's gonna do the thing that you want it to do and what you're used to be doing.
Well, and it comes down to
Yeah,
the rules
that's
of the
good
game,
advice,
right?
man.
Like in cut and thrust for SCA or Huskarl for Style of Jomsborg, when you actually have you're doing the cuts and actually a
Mhm.
draw cut is registered, that's
Yes.
great. Now, and we have enough problems, as you know, in all the steel or armored combat where you get a nice percussive force, and they're still like, you didn't pull back this far, so it probably wasn't enough force. Even though you and I well know, guys our size can be just like that and
Mhm.
cleave a melon in half. And
I've never seen Boo Hurt judged in that much of a sense where they require a full motion. Usually it's off of the percussion that you actually hear is what the judges are mainly going off of sometimes. I don't know how, like, I've talked to guys overseas about it. I talked to refs overseas about it. I've refed and judged fights here.
Mhm.
A lot of it's based upon percussion, and if it's actually a good swing. Like, I'm watching his arm, I'm watching his hand, I'm watching the amount of force that sword's moving with, the amount of speed that sword's
Mhm.
moving with. The amount of room that I need to swing a single saber to make enough force to really register as a hit is not a lot.
Not a lot. No. And
Um,
sometimes I think it's when you get some people wearing the cloth on their helmet, so then they don't hear the percussive
yeah,
as much, which
it's
isn't.
great.
I think it's great. People are like,
It's
"That's
great.
gamey." I'm like, just hit them different.
You're playing a
But then,
game.
Yeah.
You're playing a
also,
game, guys.
yeah, but then also the judges need to be like, "Okay, I know that was still a good hit, but that's hard. Everyone's still learning. Everyone's still going through."
Usually
And yeah,
when somebody is wearing a torse in a tournament, a torse is the rolled up thing that goes around the
Mhm.
helmet with usually a little thing. I'm not telling you what it is, Seto. You know what it is.
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you.
Spencer. I'm so when somebody has a torso on their helmet, I usually go up to the other judges if I'm refing or I'm judging or something like that, and I'll go,
Mm.
"Hey, he's wearing a torse. Remember that. It's not going to sound the same. It's not going to look the same half the time either." And they're like, "Oh my god, you saw it. I'm glad I pointed that out for you so you could see
You're so
that."
smart. You're not a You're barbarian with class and a little bit of I don't know, scholar as well. I'm
I'm
on to you.
yeah, it's definitely a dumb step. I'm gonna tell you right now that two chucks are wily.
I
And
met you guys. I
I'm
love
always
it.
here. I'm always here to win. I'm always here to do the best that I humanly can, and I want everybody else to be doing that too.
Yeah, yeah, and we
It's
also
not
have some
good
people.
competition if you're not.
Well, I mean, yeah. Why would you not try to best your opponent? Otherwise, that's just a bunch of. I
Yeah,
Right.
wasn't really trying that day. You're like, but why then?
but
Why
why?
did you go? Why'd you
Yeah.
show up?
And some of our viewers were like, "I'm so glad to know that you're a two chuck. That's really cool and it's interesting because this is for some people not necessarily a first encounter, but more of an in depth into the reaches of your mind."
No,
So
no, no. We're not.
yeah,
I'm not letting you get a bit of that depth. That those shadows are shadows for a reason, bro. They stay in the back.
I mean that's possible. We're not getting the full tour, but we're getting a
No,
little bit.
you don't want the full tour,
No,
unless
no, I
maybe you
don't.
do. No,
Oh, maybe I
maybe
do,
you do.
but maybe not on this one. We'll do like a behind the scenes dark tour.
Dark horse.
Um,
So you have
yeah,
questions for me. You have questions for me. I know you have questions for me.
yeah, oh, 100%. For you, what was your most fulfilling moment in any of the sword sports you've done? Which I know vast was being cross gaming. Maybe just think like a top two.
Oh
Fun,
god.
awesome.
Like, just in actual fighting, or
Mhm.
in the whole of the hobby lifestyle kind of situation. Fighting wise, I'll tell you, fighting in Prague 21 on 21s in a list that was not 22 feet across by 35 feet.
Mhm.
42 men in full armor with pole arms and pole axes going at each other. It's like fighting in a bar room, and it was probably the most fun I've ever had fighting UK. At one
Mm.
point in time, I had 2 or 3 layers of bodies laying on my legs as I threw somebody over them, and then I had to extract myself from the pile of bodies to then walk across the way and help punch more Europeans,
Whilst less
more of
not
the
having
United.
3 points of contact on the ground for
Yeah,
our
right.
viewers there. Once again, once you have 3 points on the ground, they're like, hey, sit down, stop
Yeah,
fight for
right.
you. So he's doing all this while being like, oh, don't
Uh,
fall.
yeah, I'm extracting my way out of at that point in time, I really felt like a space marine, because
Like
every
the,
time I
the
put on my
cover
armor.
art of the pyramid with the space marine on top, like a mound of
Yeah,
bodies. I love
yeah.
it. I love it.
So every time I put on my armor, I believe that I'm a space marine. I'm an 8 foot tall, genetically modified post-human that's here to kill
Are
things.
you? Do you consider yourself a space wolf? What's
No,
your
hell no.
chapter
Why?
here?
Why would I be a space wolf? Ah.
Paul the Barbarian. It's fitting. What is your 40K Space Marine chapter then?
Oh God. I would laugh and say the Caradons because it's hilarious. But no, I'd probably go with Imperial Fists, tough, stalwart.
That's a
I'm here
solid
to kill you.
choice.
Or a Dark Angel because I like cutting stuff, but I don't
Archangels,
like
I'm
all the
all about Dark
secrets.
Angels.
Too many secrets, man. I've been on a real kick of looking up the Night Lords a lot, pre-heresy and post-heresy because that's hilarious.
That's that's some good answers, man.
It's
Like I feel
terrifying.
like some people are like, hey, what's your horoscope? It tells you about people. I think asking a 40K person like which faction they are or which Marine chapter they would choose, that's really getting to know somebody.
That is well within the fact that 40K has become mainstream enough that it actually like still kicks up with regular people too now instead of just us nerds, is pretty
Yeah. Oh
hilarious. They're
yeah.
like, "Oh, I know about Space Marines." I'm like, "I bet you know about Space Marines. I bet you do, buddy." Because I fell into that whole niche for about 16 years when I was younger. So,
Yeah.
I still read the books. Like I'm like, I don't
oh
really
yeah,
have
they're
time to
great.
do this anymore, but then I'm like, but like I'm gonna read something if it's a Horus Heresy book. You know?
The lore is the best, and that's what they spent the most amount of money, time, and effort on was building the world. And then I'm like, okay, I don't need anything else anymore, guys. Like I can paint models if I want to. I could go to my buddy's house and play a game, but the books, all of the extra lore that they're putting out, everything else like that, the Horus Heresy, that's all great. I love it.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
good stuff. We That's literally why we have a segment on this show is that we want to be like, okay, nerd stuff, it needs its own thing because anyone
Yeah,
that does sword stuff also has some nerd hobbies,
Of
and we're like,
some kind of form or
yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
there's always overlap there.
My other piece of nerd thing that I do is the cardboard crack. I do Magic. I play Magic the
Oh,
Gathering.
card games I'm all about, man. All of them.
Yeah,
I don't care about them.
it's the worst.
Yeah.
Like I literally had to clear off a table full of old Magic cards to set up my camera and my laptop again.
Now,
I love it.
Spencer, you didn't play Magic. You're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, is that right?
I played all of them. I
Oh,
worked at a
all of
comic book
them. Okay.
shop from 15 years old to like maybe around 18. And the reason we didn't do drugs, even though I would have done drugs anyway, probably, is because we had no money because we spent them all on every cards. Pokemon
Yeah,
cards, Mega Man card. Every card game that came out, we're like, yes. Which is why I'm a tactical genius, or in my own mind. But yeah.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I can just imagine like a really unsuccessful drug dealer coming into your Magic card shop.
Oh
Like, do
my
you guys want to
gosh.
buy drugs? Like,
Nah, man,
no.
we're good.
Wizards of the
Nah,
Coast.
like you have any like cards on you? They're like, cards to like, I'm like, no, like gaming cards, like a Black Lotus, anything. No, I mean, we still talk about Pokemon. I mean, I don't care anyway.
Oh
Nerds can say
God.
Pokemon. I grew up. That was my childhood, even though it's gone on for 30 something years. Like
Set,
I sold $10,000 with my old Pokemon cards that I have like doubles of. So when my parents, they are worth more than my basketball cards, and I have like Kobe Bryant rookies. I have Shaquille O'Neal's, everything. What has sold so much? Pokemon.
hmm The fact that the collectible market is off the chain for all kinds of stuff. I'm surprised that your basketball cards hold as much. Like the big names are what hold all the value in those things. All the other cards that used to have value are all dead now, right?
They're garbage, absolutely
Yeah, between
garbage.
baseball, football, hockey, and the basketball cards, like all of the market fell out in that when they realized that they were printing too many of them, and basically now it's just the name on the card that has any worth.
Yep. Yeah, I have
Um,
a vintage Hank Aaron card, and that still really doesn't go even way above like $100, which is
really,
low. Yeah,
Hank
yeah,
Aaron? Oh
yeah.
my
It's still
god,
low. Just the market's not there, man. They're like,
that's
yeah, yeah,
insane.
Hank Aaron, give me a Charizard. And I'm like, no.
No,
I'll
no.
trade you one Hank Aaron for a Charizard.
That won't
Oh
work,
my,
dude. That Charizard's like what, 5 grand?
easy.
Like
Oh
that's a quick
man.
sale 5 grand if it's not in a case at all, if it's not already been what's that called? Rated?
Rated. It was
Yeah,
small
if it
story before we get back. Give Kyle give you another question. I was talking to one of my friends at FCA night, and his son at the time was like, "Oh, I'm playing Pokemon," and they showed me this card. And it was a Charizard First Edition Shining something. Like, yeah, it's selling for $4,300. And I was like, I have that card.
what?
I have that card at home. He's like, no, you don't. Like, I have it right home. I'm gonna go grab it and sold it. Sad thing's up like now up to like 10,000, but who knows? Everything could
I
fall out, right?
I got this out of a pack when I was 12.
Pretty much,
That's
Oh,
yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that exchange just now is like the audience can't see our tech guy Jason, but he did like the full arms up display. Like you have what? Like
So many stuff that I should have just held on to, but I was like, all it needs is water damage, have a fire, something. I'm
oh
like,
yeah.
they're gone. So I was like, and I bought armor. Like,
Yeah. Leave.
oh
Be
yes.
gone with you.
Now
yeah.
we're talking.
Okay, Kyle, next question. What do you got?
Yeah, to bring it back onto swords. So you are someone that does a ton of different like cross sword sport fighting. You're actually a perfect person to ask about this. I have a background in SCA, which is an honor-based rule system, which like
Mhm.
Dagger here and a lot of other groups do too. That you're supposed to acknowledge your own blow, and that's how you determine the winner. Then you have other groups like all the Bohurt fighting HEMA groups. They have judges, and those judges say, hey, that was good, that was not. How many, they judge points. What's your thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like one system's better or worse, or do you have a preference?
Um, so here's the thing. Most of the sort of analog sports that we want to call it, Darkon, Dagger here, the SCA, the two truck fighting I do, EMP, all those kinds of things, all those honor based, they're games. They're a place where we can go and have fun, and we're playing a game. We're a part of the anachronism, as it were,
Hmm.
Mhm.
the
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. And I think that that is actually very good for a social group because that's a social community more so that you're basing it around the social community than just the fighting.
Hmm.
And I think that's very good to keep everyone on the same level. It's based upon your honor, and everybody's honor is gonna feel different, but it's just a piece. It's gonna sound really weird, but it's kind of like social leverage on each other to keep each other nice,
Yeah, that's a
No,
good way
if
to
that
put it,
makes
man.
sense.
it's a
Yeah,
hundred
Um,
totally.
percent, hundred
and
percent.
when and I don't call it a game to downtrot on it. I do all of those things. I love doing all of those things. Um, but when I go to a sport and I want to have active refing, I want to have active judging. I would rather it be an objective judgment rather than a subjective judgment. Pro fights are a big thing that's very subjective on how who's controlling the fight and who's actually like doing things in the fight.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's gonna look sometimes fighting me in a singles match, I back up a lot. I counterpunch. And I back up and I move around and I just keep pummeling a dude as he's stepping in because if I stay half a step ahead of him, I'm half an arm's reach away from him and I'm just clobbering him where he can just get bites of me where I'm just giving him every knuckle sandwich I can. In a
Hmm.
pro fight situation, it looks like I'm just backing up and like running away from the guy, but I'm actually counterpunching and I'm pummeling him with strikes and I'm trying to get as many strikes as I can into that process. Until I step in, punch him in the mouth or elbow him and then throw him to the ground. Um, like that changes it dramatically. But usually I'm walking backwards in my counterpunching style.
Mm.
So I like an objective judgment. I like having active refing, active heralding, that kind of stuff. Just because it takes a lot. I'd rather the decision be based upon an objective view than the people involved in the fight,
Yeah.
because anyone
Yeah, definitely.
involved in a fight at the moment is extremely heavy and heady in that aggression, that adrenaline, that moment is going to be so strong that they're not that you either beat them heinously well, or if it's any questionable, they're going to support their own side.
Yeah.
Usually, if there's anything
Yeah.
on the line, they're going to
Yeah.
support their own view.
Yeah. Which I think is one of the interesting things that I like with the pro fights, because when you're getting gassed and you're getting just beaten to the ground, there's no like winning as you're like I'm winning still. I'm
Nope.
like no.
Now,
No,
you on
no,
the
this
ground,
dead
sir?
even.
Dead even. You've been on the ground for 2 minutes of this 4 minute round. Sorry, bud.
Sounds like a Monty Python skit at that point. They're like, no, just a scratch, barely. They're like, your arm is falling off. Like you're actually bleeding.
Oh,
Which is an interesting point. I'm not gonna even get into the Will Smith slap a little bit, but it was interesting when people were like, violence is horrible no matter what. And I almost wanted to make a YouTube channel or a YouTube video, like bring you up and be like, hey, let's not go too far on the other side. That violence, when it's consensual, which sounds weird, people are like, oh, that sounds really intimate. I'm like, fighting is
kinky.
intimate. Fighting is intimate. I don't know what you're talking about. You're saying, hello, I've stepped into this ring. May I now punch you now? I may not like you. I may actually like you. But now we're gonna have this level of fighting. And I trust you not to either hurt me
Yeah.
too bad if we're not
Do
doing like
you
too much
agree
damage.
with that?
Yeah.
Like,
Or I
Are
trust you that you are gonna try to knock my head off because we stepped into that kind of ring where you're actually trying to knock me out. It's
yeah.
different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which actually we have another question. Joshua Seymour, also thanks for tuning in. He wants to ask, how did Paul end up getting with your style of kit, which I believe is it Kuman or is it Kuman? I don't know.
Cumin.
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 I don't know. Stop it. Stop it.
uh,
PG.
Timurid. Okay. Timurid, Kipchak, Cumin. Would you like any other descriptions? It's like early 1300s Russian,
Oh,
or
awesome.
like Kondish.
No,
that's his helmet in the background, right?
Yes, that is what that is.
but now,
Um,
why did you choose that over the most common 14th century and 15th style European kits?
okay, so when I first got into the sport, I met an armorer named Ilya who worked at Baltimore Knife and Sword, which is where I
Oh,
currently work.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, he's done great. He makes all kinds of great stuff. He made that helmet, and I looked at him and I'm like, I will give you amounts of money if you make me a really cool helmet that will stand up to steel fighting. This man had
Mm.
done Adrian Empire before. Adrian
Mm-hmm.
Empire is a blunted kind of situation where they have spears and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's almost a LARP at the same time.
Sure.
Um, it's almost what's the one the Viking one that you brought up earlier?
Oh,
Yamsborg, but there's
Yamsborg.
Yarmsborg.
that splinters into a bajillion dying things.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
So
one I know is Yamsborg.
I told the little Russian guy to make me a pretty sweet helmet, and that's what he made me. I asked him several times how easy is that to document, how easy is that to like for me to find armor to fight in and everything else like that. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it'll be great, very easy." And it wasn't at all.
I was like, but
Uh,
based upon the tone, I don't think it was that easy.
no, it's like small pieces of plate with chainmail, chain links holding them all together, and it's
Oh,
all very small plate. And it
Oh
was
yeah.
I saw that kit. I can't remember who had one.
Felix had
Scott
one.
Scott
Frappier had it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Scott Frappier.
Felix. He had
Yeah.
that kit for a while, and it was like one of the coolest ones. Ooh, did Illa make that kit too?
Yes. Ilya made that helmet. It made that kit. Beautiful armor. That thing's made out of magic steel. Whatever he made it out of is amazing. It's 4130 chromoly. I actually know what it's made out of, but it's just magically done because there's very few dents in it over 7 or 8 years of fighting. That's near impossible for a
Well,
steel
as I look
fighting
at the
helmet.
facial structures and the features, that actually hardens it and helps make it more resilient
It's
as
all
well,
raised. It's all raised out of one piece of plate out of 14 gauge. So the very tops of all of those pieces are the thickest they humanly can be.
which is
That's
amazing.
so
It's
cool.
nuts.
Practical art.
But not a practical helmet.
No,
Terrible
no.
idea. The only reason I didn't go with 14, 15th century Western kit was because I got that helmet and I spent an inordinate amount of money on that helmet and I wanted to use it and it looked cool.
Was it at least
Um,
like 3 Charizards worth?
No, not even
Okay,
close.
not
Not
that far. Okay,
not
okay.
current Charizards. Maybe like I don't know, 12 or 13 Hank Aaron's.
Oh, fair.
Um,
Okay, all right. I like this. I like this. It's good.
is that how we're engaging things now?
Oh,
Sometimes
I'm
just
gauging it from now on.
money makes
Real,
people uncomfortable, but it's funny to be like, so how many of those does that cost? Yeah,
yeah,
that
Like
right.
makes sense.
my arming sword I just bought, it was about 3 Hank Aaron's. You know,
There
it
you
Okay,
go.
it's
was
not
pretty
bad.
nice.
It's not bad. Does it have a warranty on it?
I
Uh,
think
Is it?
so. I
I
Is it
think
think
it
warranty?
does.
I think
You,
American Bohart. I mean, if I would be like,
Oh,
Matt,
you
can you
got it from
fix this?
American Boohurt?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
I try to support them.
I've got an axe up there that I've done a video on that I have to actually edit and upload. He gave me one of their axes and I just chop it ever living bunch of stuff. I was just gonna say that BKS has a lifetime guarantee on their stuff.
Oh, we might have to
Man, he's doing the
talk.
plug. He's doing
Oh,
the plug.
if they became a potential sponsor for us, maybe we can do a little bit back and forth. We'll have our people
Nah,
call your people.
I,
I hope you understand that they're cheap and old.
Man,
They
man.
don't do that. Um, no, they do probably. I don't know. He's got all kinds of things going on, so we're too small bill for that kind of situation.
Also,
Um,
but Joshua said that that's one of his favorite helmets,
it,
and so really
it's a
identify
great
that.
helmet. It's got terrible breathing, great vision, and the very peak of it's a great handle to pull me to the ground with.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. I didn't know about that
Yeah,
one. That makes sense.
you think about taking all of your weight and just grabbing the furthest part of the lever and dragging all of your weight down on it. It's great. Tell you what.
Physics. We
Yeah,
like physics.
physics. I like physics too, especially when I'm above them.
I mean, yeah, and then you hit them with the earth. Sweet.
Awesome.
Let's see. One
I don't
other
know. I don't
question.
know what that means for us,
I
but
mean, at this point, we're kind of off the rails, but it's
we
good.
are completely off the
yeah,
rails.
we
One
Oh,
one question from one of our other viewers, and then I'll let Kyle get back because I think I went ahead of my
Hey,
question. I don't
don't
know.
put it all on me, Spence. You're the
Anyway, so
co-host
like I was saying,
here.
I'm
We're
going there.
both supposed to be.
I'll
okay.
let Kyle do something in a sec. But they
Listen to
have a
this
Is
guy.
question.
it the
What
one from
is
Juniper?
yes? What is a great two-chuck story, two-chuck fighting story that you would tell that is PG and that would not get us removed or our
Yep.
monetization in the future?
Critical note there. You're our first two chuck guest, though. We've never had anyone else who's been a two chuck.
You'll probably never
Yeah,
have one again.
that's not true. I think we can get Dagar.
Well, that
Dagar would do
depends
it.
on the story you tell us right now.
You might get Dagar. Actually, it's from my first year. It's from my first year fighting. We're going in the Pennsic Wood battle. We're going all the way around. There's like 15 or 16 of us. My chieftain, Shitan, and my second in charge was Kai. Um, Part of the Taran clan and everything else like
Yeah, it's
that.
like Torrent
Those were
Clan.
who were yeah, they were leading the group of two chucks, and we went the far way around in the old woods fighting to where the sand pit was.
Mm,
And at the end of this path, there's a drop off that is about 5 to 6 feet deep, and then there's a sand pit, and right behind that sand pit was the opposing team's res point.
mm,
Um, we didn't know that it was a sand pit yet. We stopped about 40 yards off. The front line, Shitan and Kai ran up, and we took a knee at the edge of the drop off, and we looked at all of those ska people down in the bottom. We looked at them all, and we're like, huh. And then we ran back to the rest of the group. Shitan's like, there's a bit of a drop off. There's a cliff, and there's a lot of guys to kill. And we all kind of looked around and they're like, well, did we do it? We're like, yes, 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 yes. We run, we kill them all. We run, we kill them all. We didn't tell them how many SCA people were in there. We didn't tell them how deep the fall was. I might have told them it was like 3 or 4 feet. I didn't tell them it was 5 or 6 feet.
5 or 6.
Yeah. Um. So we come two chuck, two chuck, two chuck, two chuck, two chuck, and we barrel over this ledge. One of the dogs immediately gets stabbed. He lands directly balls first on a spear. It was perfect. He couldn't have done that to Tonka. He couldn't have done it any better. Actually ripped Tonka.
Mm,
So he's on the ground, hold himself. We have made a mess of like 40 some odd dudes, and there's like 15 of us. We end up basically making our way through the fight, but there's only like 3 of us left. Me, Shitan, my buddy Mordecai had fallen down the hill on the other side and was fighting 3 guys at the very bottom of the hill. Um, Me and Shitan go back to back. We look around us and we know, like, we're like, okay, we're alive. How is that possible? Don't care. All these dead bodies clear. They go to the res point. We go to the top of the hill and look down. There's a group of like 40 more SCA guys. Shitan turns and looks at me. He's like, let's go die. We're going to go die. So we found a cruise shiv. We died heinously, and then we went and got like clapped on the back by half of the tribe. It was hilarious. It was very fun.
Was that like
Um,
2009 or
Like
2008?
watching you die, like they were still there to see it.
yeah, basically. Um,
Was that like
so
2009 or 2008? When was that? Or
no,
2010?
no. That's like 2013,
Oh, so it's that one.
14.
Hmm.
It's up
It
in the
would have been,
Pineys. Up in
yeah,
the Pineys.
yeah,
Oh,
the new site.
New
I
Woods.
I
More,
remember
but
hearing that story
new.
from the other side, and it was glorious. It's just as glorious as it was. So I'm just
uh,
like,
It's raining two chucks.
And then subsequently that fall, Shighton passed away at Ymir, or it was in the winter time. He passed at Ymir right after a fighting tournament. He's like, it was good to knock the rust off. He's wearing his armor. He goes to his car, opens up the trunk, goes to the front door, falls over dead from a massive cardiac arrest.
no.
Oh,
Best, best fight, like one of the best fighters that's around. Evil bastard. I hope bastard's okay. He was one.
We have
Um,
swords that are that way. Name that, so it's fine.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Um, so he went out in his armor, and that's the best I could think of for him.
that's really
Like
cool.
he had a great day of fighting. He clubbed people to death. It was a wonderful time for him. Everyone said he was in the best of spirits. Went and passed out. I was like, okay, that's how that goes, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, of all the ways, there's
Yeah,
way
right.
worse.
yeah, went out doing the thing you loved, which is
Yeah.
Hmm.
pretty great, actually.
Can't argue with it.
Now,
Yeah.
yep. Hail and farewell. Very well said, Juniper. And hi, Master Zygmunt. It's good to see you as well. So, my question for you is, where do you want to see the future of sword sports going in general? Like we've been talking about a lot cross platform. So obviously we know it's not just one or the other. It's like where do we want it all to go?
I mean, realistically, I can't see it. I think a fair degree of like the fun sports that I do are at a point where they don't really need to change a whole heck of a lot because they've got a pretty good system figured out. They've got a good situation figured out. I just think that the production value of a lot of these LARPs that
Mhm.
I go to or other things like the immersion level can be kicked up. And I think with the inventive technology and bringing around more things and everything else like that, I think the immersion level can be brought up, and I think it will just be better from that perspective. Fighting's going to be fighting. It's always going to change. The meta is always going to be different for every sport. Um, but like steel fighting, I think can go. It's less. They're real swords. And this isn't knocking anybody that does foam or
Mm,
stick. It's all a great
mhm.
time. Steel is ridiculous, completely and utterly. But I think that because it is steel weapons, it is a little bit. It seems a little bit more riskier, a little bit more risque, a little bit more brutal, violent, however you want to look at it, a little bit more
Sure.
bloodthirsty. Um, like that has an avenue to gain ground,
Hmm.
um, but it's still going to be looked at pretty weirdly. It's
Oh,
always going to
100%.
be a niche thing.
Which is going to be
Um,
some of the selling point, which will help. But yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
I think Jay's doing a great job up in New Hampshire, having the Knights Hall, being able to bring in crowds and doing larger shows. We're going out there and we're doing larger shows now with the Polish organization up in Jersey. They've been doing a great thing, putting on great events out there.
Mm,
Um, Texas has a huge thing with night fight with the Friday night fights and everything else like that. They've been doing the
hmm.
pro fight series that they did. I think they can get a lot more traction with those and and put it out to more folk. I think
Yeah,
our biggest thing is right now is that we're very hemmed in by our
our
footprint.
nicheness.
Our
Yeah.
footprint on the internet is just small enough that it is not like breaking out and going and getting in front of more people.
Not yet. And
Um,
it's interesting as you see like places in Australia. My friend Swide, who I was playing PUBG with last night,
yeah,
hopefully we'll get
right.
him on the show. He's actually starting to break out. He's had like a million, like a bunch of viral million views
Hmm.
with him in fighting, and now he's actually gonna hopefully be. I don't know if I should say this. He might be on a TV show sometime, where that will bring more stuff and more into the spotlight. And then he's going to come to Nashville, which is another great scene that's doing stuff. And I'm actually going
Yeah.
to fight him, even though we're giant. And I mean, his cardio is way better than me. He's like, "Oh,
He
you're going to kick
says
my ass." I'm like, "No, no."
he says that
We'll
he
see.
wants his first fight in the United States to be against me. He told me that a couple months ago. He's probably
Oh, well,
changed his mind
Is
about that
he
though.
fight cheating on you right now?
he
Yeah,
might.
probably.
You need to just show up. We'll just show up in Nashville because
I
I
I
know where he's going to be.
I
And he's
just
going to
show
be
up
like,
in full armor and just say, "Here, let's go."
"Yeah,
Actually, no, but that's because Melee Moses is then immediately gonna go, "Oh yeah, I'll fight Paul," and I'm like, "Dog, calm down. You're too excitable." He's like the biggest fun
Haley
guy
Moses is
ever.
awesome."
He's great, and he's like one of the best fighters pound for pound.
Easy, easy.
Everybody, like I can get like you can throw like 20 Russian names at me. I do not care. He will kick the crap out of him.
And for those of you who
It's
haven't seen,
insane.
you need to check out Swide on Instagram. He has a video where Melee Moses, or also check out Melee Moses, and also Paul the
Mhm.
Barbarian and the Wandering Sword Project, and all of us if you haven't yet. But there's a one where Swide is in the corner and he's just pounding them, pounding it, and they're playing the music. What is it? It's by George Michaels. It's like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna dance again with like slow. It's just got no and Swide's just going like and
Yep.
it's just amazing, absolutely amazing.
It's kind of surprising you guys play PUBG. You never told me you play PUBG. Now I'm gonna have to kick your ass in PUBG.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you'll definitely kick my ass. I am not
Yeah.
good. I am not good. Uh, but yeah, we actually we're gonna have to do more gaming sessions as we
That's
open
the
this up.
secret of our show. Spencer's trying to like low key get people to play video games with him.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there was that subtle PUBG where it's like, oh, I know him from sword fighting and
Yeah,
PUBG.
PUBG, man. You want to play PUBG, man? Yeah, let's do
I like my
that.
video games. I'm always traveling. I bought this beautiful rig, and then I'm like, and I'm away from it.
Yep, you're not allowed to do anything, yet you still keep coming to the East Coast and not telling me when you're coming to the East Coast.
Uh, so next question. No, I'm just
You're
kidding.
the guy.
Next
You're the guy that had to go into the hospital for my birthday party. That you were
is
actually
true.
willing to come and visit. I was kind of surprised.
I was super sad about that one. That was not fair.
That was
There's just not
actually a
enough
major
time.
cross. That was a lot of cross gaming at that one. There was like foam, rattan, and steel fighters, and we all fought each other. It was hilariously
Wait,
fun.
what happened? What was this?
I had my 30th birthday party a couple years back. My partner put together this huge like thing, and we did a huge thing.
Like
Um,
a mega sword fighting birthday
It
party.
Basically,
was
yeah.
Sword
That
Mecca.
makes
It
It
was
was the
oh my,
amazing.
weekend that the country got shut down.
oh
It was the
no!
weekend that the country got shut down. You don't get it. Like it's insane. So that was really fun, but he ended up in the hospital with a heart problem. So
Yeah, because I was like right when the crown was there, and I was like, it was one of those things where you're like, I feel something. I think I'm really okay, but heaven forbid that be like, and he died because he didn't
and
go.
yeah.
Well, I was like, let's go check this out. Let's just go check this out. Yeah, I was sad, but no, we're gonna
Okay.
do something because I've been in when after Penzic when I go to Maryland, and you're like, you're gonna be in Maryland for 3 months. I was like, no, I mistyped that. I meant for like 3 days. But
Yeah, you got
yeah,
my hopes up, you
I
mountain
made
man.
me sad. I was like, maybe I can't stay.
Okay, we're going over your huge time limit that you gave me.
That's good. Kyle's still here, and he hasn't done. He's a co-host, and he hasn't stopped us yet. So
Oh,
let's
see,
no.
all this play. That's fine though. All right, all right. I'll ask you one more question, Paul, because I'm loving these stories. They're fun. So somebody's brand new. They're like, "Hey, Paul, the barbarian. You're a barbarian. Surely you know about swords and axes. Where do I go? What's the best way for me to get involved in some kind of sword game?"
Okay, getting involved, like completely flat from nothing, getting involved. It depends really on what they want to do. If they're coming at me from like not such a young age, if they're in their 20s and they want to go do something, it just depends on what they actually like, what sport they actually saw and they want to go do. There's a lot of
Mhm.
different sword analogies. If you want to do steel fighting, I'm going to suggest you go and find your local people. Obviously, you want to find your local crew of people. If that locality is 2 hours away from you, that's 2 hours away from you. Like it's very far and few between when you can find actually experienced people doing the sport that can help you um, do all of these things because there are a lot of unasked questions that you will never see until you actually ask them yourselves when you're holding the gear in your hands or
Mhm.
doing the thing and you're like, I never would have thought this would have been a question. Like, how do I do this? Um, there's not a lot of people there to answer that question if you're doing it by yourself. That are actually experienced. Like if it's a bunch of new guys trying to do everything together, I'm like, go look up YouTube videos. I make a specific like couple of YouTube videos on how to do really common things like arming points, setting up chin straps, setting rivets, doing all those kinds of things that you have to do with armoring because that's a big thing that holds people back from doing steel fighting. If they want to go and do foam fighting, I'm like, there's going to be a local LARP around you. There's someone LARPing
Yeah.
around you. And that obviously goes for any kind of rattan fighting. The SCA is huge. EMP has more arms reaching out every day, as it were. The squid that is EMP.
And the EMP, they're centered on the East Coast. Is that right?
They're mostly set up on the West Coast,
West
but they
Oh, the
do
Coast.
have an
West
East
Coast.
Coast crew.
Okay.
They do have an East Coast crew floating around. They're in different areas and they move around. I'm not the biggest fan of EMP.
Oh, right.
I want you to take if I hit your arm, I want you to take the arm, man. I don't want you to have that arm anymore. That's why I hit it.
Is it like counted blows kind of deal? Like
It's 3 counted blows or 1 like amazing blow, and very rarely do I see people take the 1 substantial blow.
gotcha. And
Yeah.
substantial,
I haven't done it
it's
yet.
hard.
Yeah. I haven't done it yet,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll hold all judgments. Not sure, but I do like the flaming ring that they do a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
but-
cool.
Yeah.
Substantial blow is like they club you really good, or it was so clean and there was just no block that they're like, you've got me, I guess.
Gotta take it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
each group's got its own thing.
Juniper's
Yeah.
like, rude. Well, with that part, we're going to drag you into our next nerd part section of this. This has been all
right,
nerdy
Paul.
about one another. So, Jason, hit me with that graphic, and let's get into Sword Nerd News. Well, that goes in there. I don't know.
That's a maybe on the sound.
Oh. All right, now hit us with that May the 4th be with you graphic from our awesome friends at Nashville Armored Combat. May the 4th be violent.
Always.
So they're doing this cage match, but they also got the Saber School that's there, so they have Saber people coming and fighting in their cage. They're once again talking about cross promotion. It's like we planned this time. Oh my gosh,
Ooh.
sword stuff is all so amazing and conjointed. So why not reach out? And they reached out on their own accord, and now they got the sweet graphic. And Paul, for you, Jedi, Sith, Scoundrel, neither above.
Neither nor.
Okay.
Not
Lightsaber.
a Star
actually-
Wars fan.
I'm not a Star Wars fan, and
What?
you throw me down
what?
a staircase about that.
No, get out of here, please. Now, are you a Star Trek fan? Are you neither?
No, I'll tell you what, when I was younger, the first, like, you know how you look at like different things through different lenses? Like my high fantasy lens is through Lord of the Rings. My sci-fi lens is through 40K, so everything looks
Do it.
so terribly small.
So neither, and you'd rather have
Yeah.
a chainsaw on a gun or a
Ah.
chainsaw sword.
Chain swords are pretty dope. I do like a good power axe though. A solid power axe would be pretty cool.
See me, I'm an Age of Sigmar type of dude. I'm gonna have to go do my research. I'm sorry for both of you. I will see what power axe is. Jason,
Sorry
our
for your
ninja.
love of
Jason
Age
in
of
our background,
Sigmar.
our background ninja that you can't see. He's just going in the background like, I'm going to quit. I don't
yeah.
like this environment anymore. And now he's yelling at me about how I don't. But anyway, you can't hear him. We're gonna keep on going.
Jason, you can't come in like to the actual podcast with a button. You tell
No,
me you
don't
can't
you
just
do it.
interject
You're not-
stuff. Do it.
Oh,
Do
quit
it.
giving him ideas.
Stop it. We have him in this
Yeah.
box, and he allows himself to be in this box. He has a lot more
I'm here.
power than
I'm
he
here to
knows.
free you. Fight the man. Don't let him hold you down with the button.
So that's been our show for today. We'll see you next time. No,
No, we
but
got that's our whole Sword Nerd News. Just want to wish everyone happy. May the
Kyle,
4th
what color
be with you.
lightsaber for you? What color lightsaber for you?
I don't know. Now I'm in a 40K mood, man. Now I want the chainsword.
Fine.
But it would be blue. Like I want to say I'd like a green lightsaber, but like
You're not that good.
all my stuff is blue. You know, I do blue one.
What,
Well,
okay.
isn't the green supposed to be like the most the most like virtuous or something like that in the color scheme?
Not
There's been
really.
so much lore change.
Yeah,
I've always said
they make up stuff and contradict
this will be my
themselves on the
whole-
next one.
my whole hot take, and it's still a pro and pro, but it's a movie and they're different colors. I just saw something about lightsaber thing as I was doing my stuff feed yesterday. And they're like, orange lightsabers are the weakest because they're this kind of guy. I'm like, where's that? No, stop it. I just like the color orange. Don't call my lightsaber weak.
It's like
Makes it
Mace
sad.
Windu. I got a purple one because I said I have a purple one.
I want one. George Lucas like, all right, that's cool.
I said I got a
Great-
purple one. Yeah,
great
Samuel L.
flavor.
Jackson says I have a purple lightsaber. Get effed.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that, now before I interrupted Kyle, that has been our Sword Nerd News. Go for it, bro.
It's your turn, Kyle. You have the conch shell.
Okay,
You're
so
muted.
next,
What? That's supposed to be a shift. I'm waiting for a.
Jason, hit us with our... Nice.
And also, I thought Spencer froze for a second there. I'm like,
No,
wait.
I held it for you because I was like, and I'll start doing that more often now. That's perfect. Excellent.
That you'll trick me 100% of the time, not 99%, every single time.
Excellent.
Listen, Take us to sword side quest. We're gonna go on our side quest. All right. Thanks,
This hasn't
Jason.
been a side quest the whole time.
No,
this
that's
is
been the main quest.
deep
Now we're
dive
on
in
the
side
side
quest.
quest.
All right. So in our side quests, we've been working on our Udemy course for Hamma. This has been the thing Spencer and I've been working on. We did our first shoot for that this last weekend. Flew out to Chicago. We shout out to the Chicago Swordplay Guild. They let us use their site and their really awesome location. Let us play with their swords to make Instagram videos. They're all around awesome. And my favorite part of the whole thing is I've just got to share the story of like Spencer like makes fun of me for being the director, like being real picky on
No,
stuff.
it's not. I don't. Correction. I'll defend myself. I don't make fun of. He's very good at it, but it's hard when we have to do other things. So I'm just like, we need more camera people so we can do it better. And then he'll be like, "Don't you just do it yourself?" I'm like, I can't.
You got to stop giving him so many Skittles and Red Bull. That's your problem. You got him too amped up.
Dude, I'm
too
a
much
Kyle.
Sugar.
I'm a Kyle. You keep that drywall away from me.
Got your flat brim hat.
So my favorite part of this whole thing, though, so we get set up, we have our different shots, like we get the lights, and it's like trying our best to be as professional as possible. And then I'm like, Spencer, it looks like we're gonna have exactly 41 videos on this reel. And we take like our first shot of Spencer, and he's like in the seat. He like looks super professional. He's looking sharp. He's got all his Hammond gear and the library around him. And he goes to read his first line, and he's like, welcome. Damn it, what's the line again? And I'm like, it's just like, welcome to our Udemy course. And we're like,
it was more than that. He's lying.
It was like, immediately we knew, we're like, all right, so it's going to be 42 videos, and we're going to have a blooper reel.
Yes. Kind of a requirement when you're doing something like that.
Yeah, because I was reading one thing, and I was like, all right, so we're talking about Hamma, and it's like, Kyle's the best practitioner of steel, sword, and everything. I was like, he's like, just stick to the script. Stick to the script. I'm like, okay.
I threatened to write that.
It was there.
I mean, is it actually a script that you have like written down in front of you, or do you just have a like whiteboard that you could write down the lines that you need to get through the scene and go, here are your lines for the scene?
That would have been a good help. We had to like set it up specifically so we had like the laptop with the line written in it. And
then like a teleprompter. That was better.
Yeah, and the camera was like right there so that when Spencer would read his line, that like you wouldn't see him like track, you know?
I'll tell you one better. If you set up the whiteboard and you just have a bulleted point list of the different topics that you want to go through, because all of the knowledge that you already have on those topics is in your brain, and you just go, this topic, make sure I mention these 3 things about said topic. That'll save you a lot of time rather than doing a teleprompter to full script.
You think it's all in my brain. You're silly.
Spencer, shush. It's about swords. Of course it's in your brain. It's not in your pants.
I like swords. It's true. That is true. Wait, that is true. But yeah, so we got a really cool project with that's coming in, and it's really gonna be fun, and hopefully you get a chance to take a look at it.
Yep, that's one we'll keep posting about. Then Spencer, talk to our audience about the Armored Combat Duelist Tournament.
So we're having
developments there.
Yeah, so we're having our first Armored Combat Duelist Tournament in Dallas Warlords, which we were extending our invitation out to you, but we didn't know if you were busy yet. So we can see what you prefer, because it's June 4th to 5th. It's a duel tournament, but once again, you said duels are kind of but it'd be cool. So
I might be fighting the Scalagrims with the Executioners that weekend, and I need to beat up the Canadians.
So. No, you do need to beat up the Canadians, which is cool if you said Canadians, because in our tournament we are having Shoshana, national champions coming. We have Jules, she's coming, longsword champion. We have myself, I'm going to be fighting probably. We have a Canadian Shield and Sword, a Canadian men and women's Shield and Sword champions coming down.
Nice.
We have Mexico's women's and men's Shield and Sword champion coming up. So it's going to be an international tournament.
Sick.
Yeah, so we're just really excited after when everything blew up because of some dude wanting to attack Ukraine. We didn't get to go overseas because I want to fight. I've been doing so much SCA stuff, and I'm like, I love it, but I'm like, now it's time to do Battle of the Nations and fight people and see if I can even get on the podium. And they keep on being like, no.
Denied. Podium denied.
So I just have to get in better shape, which is good. I mean, during that year's time, it's like, all right, be better and actually crush and actually be like, I'm going to be world champion. I'll be Spencer the Barbarian. Yeah.
Oh,
But
that'd be perfect.
it'd be awesome. But that's what we got going on for there. It's gonna be a good time. And you said you have a tournament that you're gonna be hopefully going to, or not really quite
I
sure.
I think that's like a full on fight with the Quebecois coming down or
Oh,
the Scalagrims.
gotta
I fought them at Autumn Assault, and I have some payback to throw at those guys. So
get it. Yeah. Give them some coupons. 2 for 1.
plus fighting with the Executioners at that level of fight, I want to make sure that I'm there to support those guys and be the teammate that they're asking me to be.
As you
So
should. Executioners are a cool group of fighters.
they're
Really,
they're
really
a
awesome.
hard training, hard fighting crew, dudes, and I've been fighting against those guys for 8 years, and it's been awesome to watch them progress and do so much.
That's
Being able
awesome.
to fight with them is a lot more fun than fighting against them.
True, true. Now, before we start wrapping things up, are you going to be going to Reno ACS Nationals this year? Do you know?
I'll probably be told that I'm going. Yes,
Good, good.
I don't know when that is.
I forget. It's like later in the year. I don't know if they
Yeah,
have things like that down, but I'm going to definitely be going. I'm going to try to drag Kyle along. Um,
the guy that's organizing that tournament is kind of in charge of the team I'm with, so I might need to listen to them.
yeah, just
They might
involve
tell me
them.
Yeah,
some things.
I love that like universal deferment of if I'm going or not. Like, if the people that I'm with tell me I'm going, I have to go, but I don't. But they haven't told me yet.
Yeah, right. I mean, there was an option back in the day to not go to tournaments. Now, if I'm asked to go to a tournament by like a specific team, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, unless you have
It's
something
just
other planned, and you're like, man, you got to get me 2 months ahead of time.
yeah, that
Yeah,
I there's too many like trying to maintain three different fighting like organizations between Darkon, Two Chuck slash the SCA, just because I go to SCA events and beat up
yeah,
SCA people,
yeah.
and then steel fighting events like my calendar. I'm on the 7th week of fighting. Next week, this coming weekend will be the 8th week straight of fighting every weekend.
I feel
You're
your
living the
pain and
life.
also
You're living the
joy.
life.
I understand completely.
The problem
It's
is
a
I'm not taking any time off from work, so I'm just making swords during the week, like crushing every muscle that I humanly can, and then I go fight over the weekend. I have no rest. Sleep
no.
doesn't happen.
Was it no rest for the wicked or barbarians? Yeah.
Nah,
Rest
you
for the
could keep
wicked.
with the Wicked. The Wicked's fine.
Okay, fair, fair, fair. That's awesome. Even better.
Wait, you
Well,
brought up your branding. We can't not have Wicked.
Yeah,
It's
right. It's
Barbarian,
fucking
right?
Wicked.
a
Yeah.
wicked barbarian, but that makes it long. So, like I said,
You're
Wicked
right, not a
smart.
shot.
Wicked smart. I fight. I
wicked
fight with.
spot. Go
I
pick up
fight
some
with the.
gabagool.
No. That's Jersey. That's
Yeah.
Jersey. That's not New Hampshire. That's not Boston.
Oh,
No,
I'm
you got to
sorry.
understand. You got to get your dunks, and you got to go down the pike. You got to come around the land, come around the end. I fight with a team from New Hampshire, so you got your khakis and your khakis. I don't know what to tell you.
Like, and he's saying car keys and his khakis? His
Yeah,
khaki. What is he
got your
saying?
khakis and your khakis.
Spencer, I needed that translation. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I've been around something, but I didn't know. I thought it was gabagool, so that was wrong.
No, Gabagool's Guido.
Yeah,
That's Jersey Italian, which I'm related to a lot of those.
there you
Um,
go. I just think it's delicious.
yeah, right. They're great. You like? Is it stuffed cabbage or is it glumpki?
Yes.
Okay, that's the correct answer.
I knew you tried to trick me.
No, there's some heathens that call it pigs in a blanket. I'm like, nah, like ground beef inside cabbage is not pigs in a blanket. No, you're
Uh,
wrong. Yeah, I was
uh,
about to say.
that's the Indiana thing we call it, man. It's pigs in a blanket in Indiana.
No, it's not. Hot dogs in a crescent roll is pigs in a blanket.
Oh yeah, that's
I have a
what are we
culinary
talking
degree.
about then?
I'm talking about ground beef
Ground beef
inside
inside
cabbage inside
cabbage.
tomato sauce.
We're gonna
Oh
have a
no, yeah,
fight.
we
The
just call
next
that
fight,
stuff cabbage.
the
God.
barbarian versus
Um,
Kyle the Knight. We're gonna throw down about this, and I'm just gonna officiate and eat popcorn.
well,
Um,
I'm going to actually make him glumpky and make him see the light. There's
Dude,
sure thing.
reasons.
As a heathen, convert me to the way of
My
the cooking,
nana,
man.
my nana tells me things like, and she showed me how to make the glumpky. Okay, I'm gonna inform you. The stuffed cabbage, it's great.
I'm
sounds,
in.
I
sounds
also might. I
delicious.
also actually have a culinary degree, so I won't poison you.
Oh,
Man,
now I'm super in. I was like, he's got like the Polish knowledge. I'm interested. Now
Yeah,
I
that's
right.
really want to know.
that coming from a barbarian. We need to make sure you write that down and get that in writing or in blood or whatever you prefer, because
Dude,
How do you
barbarians are
think
an
I get?
honor culture. It's word of mouth.
How do you think I get so damn big? Like I have to be able to make food. Like
I
that's
mean
the
it's true.
requirement.
It's really the
Uh,
truth.
I eat like 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah,
Like
especially when
I
you're
am
working out, doing those workouts. Dude,
forcing myself to eat.
When I went to Poland for the Witcher school, it was all about the pierogi. Is
Oh
that like
yeah.
a is that the other secret ingredient to the Paul the Barbarian musculature?
I
can't tell
don't
you.
make musculature. You mean my flab? Yes.
Hey, that's natural body armor. That's
Like
important.
you gotta understand, like I know that there's a core of muscle there. It's just not the greatest of form. Plus, I got older. I know about life. I know about these things.
That's
Um,
right. You can still clash and bash whenever.
yeah, no, I actually when I gained 25 pounds, I actually hit harder and I'm meaner. I don't care about a little bit extra weight. I clap people just as hard, if not harder now. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Plus, I'm harder to knock over. I'm okay with
Yes.
all of my
Mass
weight came
work.
into my butt, my gut, and my legs. I was like, "You can stay there. That's fine. That's where all that weight could be, in the center of my gravity."
That's also going to be our next T-shirt. My butt, my gut, my lats.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's perfect. Here, like, I'll get royalties on that one.
Do it for it. That's fine.
Okay,
Just give me a
yeah.
cut. Just give me a cut.
If you guys are watching in the comments and you actually want that T-shirt, comment because Spencer is only like 50% joking.
No, like 25% joking. If that, it's already
Yeah,
written down.
right. That's real. It's
Yeah,
down.
it's gone. It's there.
Yeah, right.
And people
Spencer,
buy it.
I only talked to you like a couple months ago about like having
Mhm.
random idea sessions and talking with you guys about doing different things. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll get to it at some point in time, several months later. I'm
Hey,
like,
that's
I'll
pretty
tell you what,
fast.
we're
That's
gonna come up
fast.
with ideas, man.
No, I'm all about it. I mean,
Uh,
that's as you said. This year's been so just go 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 go, and that's why I'm like we need to get Paul on the show. We need to actually talk. We need to go because it's been a while. And of course, no slight to you. I know you'd be like, I'm just gonna hit you more, but
Yeah,
that's gonna be
right.
out of love.
Yeah.
But as we start to close this all down, Paul, is there any other things or any other shout outs you want to do before we start wrapping up?
I definitely want you guys to check out the Nashville is it Nashville, Tennessee, the Tennessee
National Armor
border.
Combat.
Yeah,
Yep.
National Armor Combat. Check out those guys. They're doing awesome stuff. Their live streams are actually really fun to watch. The videos, the cage, the lights, everything that they're doing is insane. Mickey's a good friend. And I wish him luck on his coming heart
Heart
surgery that he's going to be
surgery.
doing in 2 weeks. This is the third one he's got to go and do, but he's going to fight for the next 2 weeks before that heart surgery because he's a
Mhm.
baller.
That's
Um,
awesome.
he helped me do a lot of stuff with my YouTube channel, and I have nothing but love for that man and the whole crew, dudes. The whole crew of people down there because they're all awesome. I've met a lot of them through the Rookie Rumble, which is actually going to be coming up. When is the Rookie Rumble? The ACS Rookie Rumble. That's a
I
really great event for
forget.
new people to go.
Mhm.
I think it's the 14th or 16th,
Sounds
14th to
correct.
16th of this month.
Sounds correct.
That's actually a really good event for newbies to go to. I know it's a bit far in New Hampshire, but last year there was like 50 or 60 of them, like
Mhm,
new
mhm.
people fighting in armor, people with less than 2 years worth of time in armor. It's a pretty sick event for you to be able to go out and fight people at your level, instead of having to worry about big gnarly people like me or like just veterans going around and easily pushing you over because that happens.
Yeah, I mean, because you're
Everybody
level
falls
5.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a level 5 guy, and then you run against the level 99 something world where you're like, "What the hell's going on?"
yeah, that shit happens. Yeah, never a good time. Especially if Simon actually shows up to an event, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be in a coma later. It'll be great.
I wanna fight him, though. Next time I see him, I wanna fight him. I've told him to his face, I'm like, "I gotta fight him before just
Yeah,
can't." Yeah,
yeah, he's a good
cool.
fight.
Um,
I don't have a whole lot else other than like, hey, look at the YouTube channel that I haven't done once, and this actually might make me do things with my YouTube channel. It might actually make me go do something. And
you
check out
heard
the
it here.
Wandering Sword Project because you already are doing that, but you should check them out more. Um, yeah, right. I'm here
Thanks,
to help you
buddy.
guys.
No, I appreciate it. It's all mutual. The sword world is
Yeah,
way too small.
we're super glad that you came on our show, joined us, talked crap about all the different sword sports and love
Of
for all the
course.
sword sports.
Yeah, you kind of have to have a little bit of shit, a little bit of crap talk, and a little bit of fun talk for all kinds of sword fighting stuff. Because guess what? Ego and pride are everywhere, and they're the worst.
It's the worst, and there's always gonna be a
The
bigger fish,
worst.
and then after that, what are you gonna
Yes.
do? You're like, once again, like, "Oh, I'm getting beat up. I'm the best. I'm the best." Like, it's gonna happen eventually.
We're all gonna
You're
get
still
old and
winning on
die.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there could be
right.
some like anywhere farmer everywhere or just person in the desk jock that's swole as hell and they're like, I just found out about this, and they're just a natural. You put a sword in their hand, they just crush you, and you're like, where have you been? Like, this is my
Yeah.
first day. When that happens, what are you gonna do? You just say,
Cool.
you're like, yeah. And then you like train them, you're like, all right, now I gotta learn how to beat this guy. But no, I agree, and I really appreciate that. So we want to thank you and everyone else watching today. This has been a longer one, but thank you for tuning in. And
People
make sure
are Juniper asked what company do I make swords with? It's Baltimore Knife and Sword. They do Man at Arms Reforged on YouTube. Check those guys out.
they made a giant mace something thing as well. It's amazing. Check out our sponsors. We got Armored Sports Combat. We got Medieval Extreme. Savvy Socks is doing some also things we got coming up in the future. We got Age of Craft, which is always amazing. Knights Hall. Three Moons Fiberworks. We're in Indiana, where they do from freaking goats to coats. I just made that up on the spot, but really they do have goats and they make things, and then they make coats and other fibers.
T-shirt too. That's going to be a T-shirt next.
Yeah, goats to coats. And American Iron Gem, they're in Reno, Nevada themselves. They're amazing, cool stories as well. So thank you for tuning in, checking us out on this. And I have been Spencer, as always, and Kyle.
And I'm Kyle.
And I'm Paul.
And make sure to follow Paul. And make sure to follow Paul on his Instagram. Follow us in the Wandering Sword Project. This has been Top Talk. And until next time, good job!
Chop.
Check us out on Patreon. You can even sign up to get our Season 1 exclusive t-shirt. We are grateful for your contributions, and every bit helps us bring you more content. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, but most importantly, wander on.